Welcome to Better with Brii Renee, the podcast where we get real, get honest, and get better, one conversation at a time. Here we talk all things family, faith, finances, and everything that just feels good to the soul. This is your safe space to grow, to heal, and to elevate. Because better isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. So whether you're working on your mindset, your money, or your relationships, you're in the right place. So let's keep it real, keep it light, and most importantly, keep getting better. Because better starts with you, starts with us. It starts with Better with Brii Renee. Welcome back to another episode of Better with Brii Renee. I'm Brii Renee, and this is the podcast where we grow better together, one conversation at a time. And I'm really excited about today's episode because it's something that I'm really passionate about. Is the major discussion. It's money, 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 money. And who isn't passionate about money? You know what I mean? We need it at this point, and it makes our world go round. But before we get into our guest that is going to help us in all things financial, advisory, and coins and money, let's get into this week's Better Perspective. So this week's Better Perspective, it was inspired by an episode or a podcast that I watched recently with Tracee Ellis Ross. And when I watched the episode, they asked her something, and she talked about how her mother always framed her mindset around money being energy. And with that, she showed the visual that her mom taught her that, you know, you can hold money in your hand like sand, and the tighter you hold it, the more it slips through. But if you just release it and hold it freely, you can carry more of it. And it reminded me of when I was 15, 16, or like 14, 15, I had just started working my first few jobs, and something just just something hit me. And it's similar to when I got that intuition gut feeling about being on the radio. Like the certain moments in my life where I don't want to say it was God, because it might not have been God. It might have just been my intuition. But it stuck with me that, and I'll never forget this. I heard a voice inside of me say, you'll never want for money. You'll always be okay. You might have to work a little bit for it. You might have to, diversify how you work for it. It might not look like how everybody else works for it, but you will always have money and you will always be okay. And I feel like that energy has carried me in every stage of my life. And I have sometimes forgotten that I should be operating in that energy. But it's when I saw the Tracee Ellis Ross clip, I was like, what if we always all lived like that? Like, money is energy. And what if we just not only considered our money to be energy, but we looked at everything like that? It could change how we operate in every way. What if we looked at like, I always have love, so I lack none. You know what I mean? I always have money, so therefore I shall not want. I always have a roof over. Like if we spoke these things and believed these things and lived our lives truly every single day from the mindset and the energy shift of abundance, there's no telling how much we could achieve, how much more peaceful we'll be, and just how much more we'll have, because we're constantly attracting what we feel like we already have. So anyways, that's this week's Better Perspective. I hope you shift the way you're looking at not only your finances, but I said this can be applied to everything. Everything is energy, whether it's friendships. I always have friendships. I always have a roof over my head. I always have love. I always have family. I lack for none of it. I think that we will continue to operate in abundance. Today's episode is all about getting your mind and your money right. Because truth is, most of us were taught how to make money, but not how to manage it, multiply it, or manifest it. And there's nobody better to break that down than my guest today. Financial expert, author that teaches you how to be an author, a speaker and wealth coach, Ash Cash. He's helped thousands shift from surviving to thriving by changing the way they think about money, from working in banking to becoming the hip-hop financial advisor. Ash has made it his mission to teach us how to build wealth without losing our peace. But we're talking financial freedom, mindset mastery, and how to align your purpose with your paper. Because when you have your relationship with your money, you unlock a new level of power. So get ready, take notes, tap in, and attract this this abundance, because this episode is all about how to get that bag, okay, and how it's gonna flow to you. Welcome to Better with Brii Renee.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to sit down with you and get into it, because a lot of people don't know, but financial literacy is like one of my little passions. That it's always been like a passion project for me. I feel like I've never really made money off of financial literacy, but I've always been passionate about financial literacy, especially in the Black community, and especially with women. And like we were talking a little bit off camera about how, you know, waitressing in the strip club and being in that environment, it's fast money. You making a lot of money, you around a lot of people that's making a lot of money, and then you also are able to see how they're blowing this money so fast. You know what I mean? And I always felt like that I was so grateful once I got in that environment. Like, dang, at least I had a mama who taught me how to build my credit, the importance of home ownership, you know what I mean? And actually doing the right things with your money so your money can make money for you, or not overspending, or not going to get the designers before you have a roof over your head, those type of things. But it's always been important for me I care about women, especially knowing the importance of financial literacy, because when your bag right, you can move right, you can chase your dreams, you can, you know, leave situations, whether it's a job or relationship, that are no longer serving you because you have the financial stability.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you, like, what made you, or when did you decide or learn about yourself that financial literacy was something important to you that you wanted to also help and teach others?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I've always been an entrepreneur. So, like, 8 years, I grew up low income. So I'm from New York, grew up in the project, single parent home, youngest of 3. So we never had money. So I was always an entrepreneur. 8 years old, packing bags at the local supermarket. 12 years old, selling mixtapes and T-shirts at the local, 125th Street, the vending machine, the vending spot outside. So I've always, I always had the like do for self kind of personality.
Yeah.
When I finally got into like the working world, so my first job was at Blockbuster Videos. Rest in peace, the Blockbuster Videos.
Right. Oh, them good Blockbuster Fridays.
Right. So that was my first job. And then I wound up getting into the banking world because one of the assistant managers that worked at Blockbuster was also working at Chase Bank as a teller. And she was like, they hiring for tellers. And I was already assistant manager at Blockbuster. So I was like, ain't so much further I could go within the video store. So I took the position at Chase. And then from there, that's when I started to learn about money a little differently, And so I did everything from teller to personal banker, private banker, branch manager. I was a CEO of a credit union. There's a great philosopher by the name of Sean Carter.
Come on, right?
And Mr. Carter once said, there's much bigger issues in the world I know, but I first have to take care of the world I know. And so for me, I had made it, if you will, but I was...
Because you got a good job on paper, you could pay your bills, yeah.
And I'm teaching people from other communities how to manage their money, right? So one of my clients was worth $22 million. It was a young Jewish guy. He owned like hip hop clothing stores. So he sold to our community and he was making, he was wealthy off of that. And I just, contrary to popular belief, no one knows how to manage money. So black, white, nobody knows.
Oh, that's doctors, a good myth, because we be thinking that we the only community that don't know how or what to do with our money. But
no, I had doctors who are really good at being a doctor. They made a lot of money, but they had no clue as it relates to finances. Right. When you think about the average family of 4 in America, the average family lives off of $40,000 a month. Right, or $40,000 a year.
That's crazy.
Right, which is nothing. And when you think about the debt that's in the country, so it's not just us; it's everybody. But for me, I felt like because I spoke both languages, right? So I'm from the hood, I could relate to my people. But then now I have this corporate background, financial literacy. It was at that point when I was like, man, I could go back to my community and teach us about how to manage, multiply, manifest money. Yeah. And that's when I started. So I was say about 2004. So over 20 years, I've been teaching it 2009 is when I made it a business.
And see, I thought it was going to be the complete opposite. I thought you were going to say, it was similar, but opposite, like, oh, I'm working in the banking system and I see our people are the most uneducated. They don't know what to do. Because that's the rhetoric that we're told. Yeah. But I like that you saying, like, no, I'm saying everybody don't know what to do with their money. Yeah. But I feel passionate about my people, so that's who I went back and helped. Yeah, that's important. Now, many of your followers know your work around building wealth. Can you take us back, like, what was your earliest money moment? The moment that you realized that money could be something you taught or could be your work and not just something you acquired.
Yeah.
Like in the banking, like what was that moment though?
Yeah. I mean, real life moment for me was when, I wanted to quit working to become an entrepreneur. And I had already built like this 6-figure lifestyle, and I was, living paycheck to paycheck. So even as a banker, even as somebody who's making 6 figures, I was living paycheck to paycheck. By the time I left the banking world to become an entrepreneur, I almost fell flat on my face, right? Just like you, I was a homeowner very early. And by like 25, so, my wife and I bought our home like 25, 3-4 years later, because I wanted to pursue entrepreneurship, we almost lost the home. We almost went into foreclosure, things of that nature. And then at that moment, I learned that it's important that we change our relationship with money. Mm-hmm. We're taught that we need to work hard for money, but if you truly want to be financially free, money needs to work hard for you. And you have to change that relationship. You have to change the relationship.
Because growing up, I feel like I said, I was so blessed to have a mother who was an entrepreneur. She always had a 9-to-5, but she always had a hustle or something on the side that was legitimate. Of course, she sold dirt. She built houses. She had a car lot. Like she was just trying to make ends meet because like most people with 9-to-5s is still living paycheck to paycheck. Like you said, it's 40, 50,000. It's not enough to support an entire family with kids. And if you are, you just barely making it. So those of us who have that desire for more, get that hustle in us and we try to figure it out. But, I was blessed to have that blueprint of, okay, anything you want in this world, you're going to have to work hard for it. As a woman, I feel like that's a blessing. But I don't think that we as people, as Blacks, men and women, are taught that your money could work way harder for you. 100%. I do feel like, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that the other communities are taught that earlier, that how, and are taught how to make their money make money. Why do you think, or how can we shift that?
Yeah, I think a couple of things that we have to unpack though is that financially, we're so far behind because of systemically, right? So when no matter how many times, they try to tell us to forget about slavery, forget about Jim Crow, forget about Reconstruction, forget about mass incarceration, forget about drug epidemic, forget about redlining, like all of these things that they try to make us forget about. All of them have economic and financial implications on it, right? So you think about... And
not to cut you off, but those things take time 1, for us to overcome. 1,000%. So it might take you 15 years to get to, we're resilient people, but it might take you 15 years to overcome redlining. Yeah. It might take you another 15. So this is stacking on top of the 400 we already behind.
And the thing is, though, it probably take longer than that, right? Because when you think about, like, all right, so you think about slavery, free labor, then we're free from slavery and we're given nothing. We were supposed to be given something, but we were given nothing to get back on our feet. Regardless of that, we got back on our feet, and then Reconstruction happens, domestic terrorism happened. Think about this, right? Think about most Black people lived in the South. Yeah. Why are there Black people up north? It's because when you think about the Ku Klux Klan, when you think about all the domestic terrorism that chased Black people up north,
away from the land that
they own, though.
Yeah, right? So they did have.
Right. So they had land. They own this land. Now, they go up north with nothing to start over. What happens to all that wealth? There's literally trillions of dollars were stolen from the Black community because of domestic terrorism, aka the KKK. And then you fast forward, and now you have redlining, where now we're able to buy homes through loans, but we can't get them in areas where the wealth is going to increase because of redlining, right? And then so they get the other communities get a head start
with the equity in their
in their communities, and then when it's time, they say, okay, now you could catch up. Now there's no equity, So there's always these things that push us back, and so which is why I have a lot of grace when I speak to people who don't know how to manage money, right? Because again, we might be the first ones in our family to have the opportunity to truly have financial freedom in a way that's free, where no one can really stop us. There's nothing systemic that can stop us. And I think that time is now, right? I think that now, because of the internet, because of technology, we have access to ways to make money, to multiply money, to manage money, that's systemically, can't necessarily be stopped. There are some ways that are still kind of holding us back, but I think that if we learn, which is why financial literacy is important. That's why I think you sharing your story about, how you became a homeowner at 22, all of the things that you learned from your mom being an entrepreneur. Like, I think that it's important that you share that story, because there's a lot of young people that are coming behind us that we've made the mistakes already. So we should be able to be in a position to teach them how to do it the right way, especially now, because they have the most access now to make money really, really fast.
Yeah, I agree. It's so much to unpack there. One, I want to ask you, do you feel like entrepreneurship and financial literacy, like you said, that freedom that we have access to now, do you feel like that all of us innately are born with that access, or is it in some of us and in some of us is not?
Yeah, so I think
like, can you be taught it?
Yeah, I think the only way, so I think all of us can be taught how to, we all have a skill, we all have a superpower. And I think that we need to figure out what that superpower is. I think we all should be entrepreneurs, and we all should be owners. Not all of us could be leaders, though. And I think that's the issue, right? The issue is sometimes we maybe have to partner with somebody else that has a strength that we necessarily don't have.
Okay.
And in partnering with that person is how we get access to our blessing, right? So African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Some people innately are like leaders.
Yeah.
Like, they walk in the room and they don't even have to say anything. You'll be like, all right, that's the person that's going to lead. There's some people who are really thriving operationally. Like, they're the
that
geek.
Is not me.
Right. They're the geeks. They're the person behind the scenes, right? So that's it, right? You're the leader. You're the visionary. You need somebody
that can help me structure
1,000%.
and run. But we're both entrepreneurs,
Correct.
is what you're saying.
Correct.
So they're using I'm using my gift of being the face, being able to get up there and speak, getting out there to connect and network with people, being able, like you said, having a vision for it. But I'm not my strong suit is not the organization of it.
Right. And so now imagine if every entrepreneur who are like you, right? Because most entrepreneurs have vision and things of that nature, but they don't have that operational person that could give them the structure. In fact, most of the operational people, because they need a certain level of structure, find themselves in 9-to-5s, find themselves kind of withering away and not really making what they should be making, because they go to these jobs that have these structures. But imagine connecting with someone like you.
They can elevate.
And they could get equity out of the company, and there's a meritocracy, merit-based income that they can get that they won't get as a 9-to-5. So I do think that so it doesn't mean that everybody should be leaving their 9-to-5s, but I do think that if we want true financial freedom, you have to own something. You have to be part of, there's 4 types of people in the world, right? You have consumers, you have producers, you have investors, you have philanthropists. Most of us in our community are just the one. We're just consumers, right? We work and then we consume. We work, we consume. But the truth is, we need to be all 4. We need to be able to consume to circulate money, but we need to be producers. We need to produce something to be able to make money, right? We need to invest in as well. So we can invest in the stock market, we can invest in real estate, we can invest in other businesses, but then also we need to give back, which is the philanthropy part of it.
Yeah.
And I think that if we all learn how to be those 4 types of people, then all of us would have true financial freedom.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I thought my passion was philanthropy in my early age, and I was like, oh, this ain't making enough money for me. I can't, but I still had a heart for it. So that makes me feel better. Like, okay, I was just exploring one part of who I really should be or who I'm growing into be.
Yeah. And I think that everybody, should use their highest skill to make the most amount of money, right? So always start with the money first. Use your highest skill to make the most amount of money, because everything else you need to do and want to do, you can pay for, right? I have a concept called do, document, delegate. You do the thing first, right?
Do, document, delegate.
Yep, you do the thing first so you can know how to do it, so you're comfortable, you know how to do it right, the mistakes, things of that nature. You document the process, right? And then once you document the process, now you don't have to do it anymore. You can now delegate it, right? And so let's say if you have a high skill that can make you multiple 7 figures, that's what you should be focusing on. Why? Because as you focus on creating multiple 7 figures out of a business or whatever you do, now once you're doing that thing, you can now start to document and delegate that. Now you can hire a virtual assistant, you can hire an assistant, you can hire the operations person, the CFO, all the structural things that you need. You can hire those things, and then now your business is running smoothly, and then you're making so much money that you can become the philanthropist. Now you can invest in other businesses. You can do all of the things that you want to do because you started out with the highest grosser skill.
I like that. And then when you talk about being the consumer, right? So earlier in the episode, in our Better Perspective, I talked about how Tracy Ellis Ross did a podcast, and she was talking about how she was always educated on money as money being energy.
Yeah.
And the tighter you hold on to it, it's like sand. It'll slip through your hands. But if you let it flow, if you consume, like you said, be a consumer, it'll flow back to you. And I think no one told me that, but I remember being younger, and I was probably in high school. And this is after maybe having my first or second job. I was working at Six Flags, Athlete's Foot. I'm talking 2 jobs in high school, right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't want to say it was God, but it was a gut feeling and a moment. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I never will forget that moment. I heard in my intuition, you will never worry about money. You will but you might have to work for it, but you will never have to worry about money. And it might be my upbringing too, because my mom wouldn't even let us say poor. Yeah. We weren't even allowed to say that word. So I never referred to myself as, I don't say the B word. I don't say that. I don't say I'm. So it is, to me, I've always had that mindset and that energy towards money. How much of financial literacy do you feel like is energy and
all of it? All of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you said it. So my first book I wrote in 2009 was called Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom. And the reason why I started with the mind right is because in my experience as a banker, managing money, talking to people who had a lot of money, the one difference was the mindset.
They holding on, trying to...
Most people who are B-word, right, broke, most of them are, it's because they have a mindset of a broke person, right?
What does that mindset look like?
So the mindset is holding on to money, it's scarcity, it's competition, it's lack, it's not enough, it's we
can't afford.
I can't afford, right? So all of that mindset, because to your point, you are what you believe you are.
Yeah.
And so the mindset is always about assuming the personality of what you desire, right? So for instance, most people wait until they made $1 million to call themselves a millionaire. But the truth of the matter is that you become a millionaire when you believe you're a millionaire. And when you believe that you're a millionaire, you start to do what millionaires do, and then you have what millionaires have.
That's so good.
Same thing, like the person who gets a lot of money, but they haven't assumed the personality of a millionaire, they will lose the money. We see it all the time. Yeah. You think about rappers, you think about athletes, you think about people who win the lottery. If money was the answer, right? Most of them who got the money would be all right. No, it's not the answer, because they get the money, but they're still assuming the personality of a broke person. And so they spend money like a broke person spends ends money, right? And guess what? When you spend money, you end money, right? I don't spend money. I circulate money. I use money. I invest money because I know the money that I'm using, the money that I'm investing is always going to come back to me, right?
Yeah.
Which is to your point about what Tracy Ellis Ross was saying about energy. Money is an energy. It's called currency because it's an energy. It's supposed to circulate, it's supposed to go around. And so if you are holding tight to it, you're stopping the flow of money. You're not allowing the money to go out and now come back to you. And that's why a lot of people stay broke. They're not willing to invest in themselves. They're not willing to put out, the energy of money so energy money knows that they're a welcome recipient of it.
That mindset is so important. And I was literally sitting here thanking God as you were speaking for my mother again, because this is before the internet. This is 90s. I'm growing up, and she's saying these things and teaching me early on. She would always say, "Oh, I'm a millionaire. I just can't go cash the check yet. Like the money in the bank. I can't cash the check. And I would be like, what? Like, but that's she has become a multi-millionaire through working, but she always, when she was a public defender, had the attitude of, I'm a millionaire. I just can't cash the check yet. Yeah. So it's like, just like you said, having that mindset, you speak, therefore you are, therefore you believe it. I think that is so important. That mindset can help mold and shape your future. But what about when your mindset can help like mess it up? Yeah. Because I do feel like, although I've never been the B word or P word, I have had seasons where I'm like, dang, I might have blew more money because I'm living like I know more money coming, and maybe I should have saved a little bit more. Like, how do you balance that abundance mindset while still being smart? And I think we do have to give ourselves grace because you're learning along the way. Yeah. But even when I think about like myself transitioning from the club, and I had an 800 credit score, and I had $100,000 saved. So when I'm going to chase my dreams, I'm like, okay, cool. I got a bank of money saved. The only thing I wish I had done was been investing that money, so the money could have kept making me more money. Yeah. But because I then tend to live off my credit card, but I always was living on debt because I'm like, well, I'm gonna make more money. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna make more money. So I'm gonna make, I have thankfully made enough to keep good credit, but it's still I'm like, at this point, am I a slave to debt? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Would you have known that had you not gone through it though?
No.
Right. So a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough grace, right, to understand that even we are imperfectly perfect. Yeah. Right? Because I believe, again, we talk behind the scenes, and I'm saying this on camera so y'all could keep accountable to it, that you need to write a book, you need to create a community, you need to teach young people what to do. Yeah. Because you think that you went through those things and, I could have done it differently. No, it happened exactly the way it needed to happen, because now you know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And now when you build your community and you start teaching, and when you write the book, you could go on book tours, you could go to colleges, you could go to community-based organizations, and you are a credible messenger, right? I'll use myself as an example. I got kicked out of school 4 times. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. Now, when I talk to young men and I go on stages, there's nothing they could tell me about money, because I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. And so I don't regret losing that money though. Right? I remember one year I lost $1.2 million. It was one of the worst times of my life, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. But now in hindsight, I understood why it needed to happen, because now a lot of my clients, a lot of the people that God has put me to help guide, I've helped them not make the same mistake that I made, right? And so at the end of the day, I do believe that the mistakes that we're gonna make are the mistakes that we're gonna make. But to your point, that's why it's make, manage, and multiply, right? Because what happens is, as you make the money, you have to manage the money correctly, and you only can multiply it by investing. Multiply it. I think that's what it is, right? So for me, there's nothing wrong with buying the things. Just don't buy the things with the money you worked for. Buy the things with the money that you invested. Right?
The profit off the investment.
So right now, let's just say somebody's watching, makes $30,000 a year. They save 20% of that, which is $6,000. They do that for 3 years. They got $18,000. They buy a home, a duplex, right? And then now that $18,000 turns into a house, right? It turns into cash flow. That's $1,500 a month, which let's just say that becomes $18,000 a year, right? Now, at $18,000 a year, if you took $9,000 and bought a Gucci bag, I don't care.
Yeah,
because you're going to keep making that over and over again, right? You're not relying on your job, that $30,000 that you're making. You're relying on the money that you've invested, that cash flow that's coming in. And so whether it's real estate, whether it's investing, whether it's another business, whatever it is, you should be buying things, right? You should be consuming with the money that comes from assets, not from your physical labor.
That's good. That's what I think I did wrong. Why do you feel like
wait, you said that's what you...
That's what I did. That's what I did. I didn't.
That's what you learned.
Yeah, that's what I learned. That was the lesson. That's the lesson that I was like, how do I reframe this? Yes. How do you feel like we should be using debt?
Yeah, I think I'd say same thing. So debt to me is like physical labor. So debt to me should only be used to build assets. And so if you're using debt to buy a home that's going to cash flow, then perfect. If you're going to use debt to start a business and then that business is going to cash flow you so you can pay down that debt, then perfect. If you're using debt to buy things, it's the worst thing that you could possibly do. It's actually worse than your physical labor, because when you use your physical labor, you get paid based on your physical labor. If you're using debt, like you literally are paying more for this item because you couldn't wait for it.
Because you got the interest on the back end.
Because you got the interest on the back end. So I think debt is one of those things that you have to use it to make more money, right? So I wouldn't buy a car with debt unless you are putting that car on Toro or you're renting it out in some way. Or if you are going to buy a car using debt, you should have some other type of investing that's paying off, right? So your investments should pay for your liabilities. Right? There should not be any liabilities that you're paying off with your physical labor. And so I think debt is a beautiful wealth building tool because it gives us access to assets it gives us access to assets faster. But again, we have to learn how to use those assets to make money in order for that debt to make sense.
Oh, I got to do some I'm just like, I got to get back to the drawing board and restructure some things because you only know what you learn from experience and you know what you're taught up until what the person who taught you learned from experience. Yeah. And I think that I've reached a level where I'm like comfortable, and I think a lot of us in middle class are in that middle class trap. Yeah,
for sure. It's definitely a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap because it's like you comfortable enough where you doing all right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you're not where you really can thrive and survive. If something happened where you couldn't work, like you really had to sit down or the world shut down again for 6-7 months, you gonna feel it. 100%. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that it's because it's a lot of things like what you're saying, we aren't actually taught early on, or we have to learn later in life from people like yourself or experience. But what are some of those like biggest or most basic misconceptions that you feel like our community is lacking or have when it comes to financial literacy and money?
I think the most, so number one, I think the most basic is that investing is gambling. That investing is gambling and investing is risky. Because I feel like that too. You know, I think that's the biggest mistake that we do. We have, I'm so confident in the stock market. And I have enough assets that if I did nothing, I can still multiply my money because the stock market is the one thing that everybody in the world has the access to and can use to build their wealth. So if like we could sit here and we could talk about Donald Trump, we could talk about Nancy Pelosi, how rich she is, or we could talk about Elon Musk, or we could just follow their moves and do the same thing that they're doing.
And invest where they invest and put their money where they put it. Okay.
Right? And so, you know, I think that if we understood that you cannot save yourself to wealth, you cannot save yourself to be wealthy, right? If somebody right now has $100,000 in a savings account, they're losing money.
Yeah.
Because that 100,000,
even if it's the high end, you gonna get them little $10
exactly.
at the end of the
You know
month.
what I'm saying?
That ain't
and so
shit.
I think that, we've been taught so long about saving.
Yeah.
That's what we feel good where we're saving money, where we should be investing that money, even if we don't know anything about investing though either, right? Because the truth of the matter is that when you look at what's called index funds, right? So you have the S&P 500, you have the Dow Jones, you have, ETFs. These are, let's say the S&P 500 are the top 500 companies in the world. And so you could know nothing about investing and say, you know what, I'm just going to invest $100 every week in the S&P 500. You will not lose money. If you look at the history of the stock market, no one who has ever invested in the S&P 500 has ever lost money. What happens is, and this is what people don't realize, is that, especially our people, will invest, and then because we're watching it and it's going up and down,
we thinking we losing.
We think we're losing, and so we get frightened and we realize the loss, right? So I put $100 into an S&P 500, and then Trump says something crazy, and that $100 goes down to $20, and we're like, oh, I'd rather not lose no more. So I take the 20 out. Now that same $100, if you would have left it, now jumped to $200, but now you just realize the $80 loss, and now you're not investing anymore because you're spooked, and now it's $20. The $100 that you should have been keep putting each week, now you're just spending that, right? Now you're just spending that, and it winds up just being a cycle of you losing out on gains. So I think that it's important to reshape the mind, and really understand that investing is going to build wealth, and real estate. I think those are the main two things that we need to fall in love with is the stock market and real estate.
Looking for the perfect space to bring your vision to life? Welcome to Visionaire Production Studios, where creativity meets capability. With over 10 dynamic sets, including a fully equipped kitchen set, we're built for creators, brands, and dreamers who don't just want content, they want cinema. Whether you're shooting a podcast, cooking show, campaign, or content series, we've got the space and the team to help you make magic and bring any vision to life. If you can see it, we can help you shoot it. Let's turn your vision into production at Visionaire Production Studios.
I agree. Yeah. I feel like the real estate is huge. Now, I have always, which is crazy, I do have money in the S&P. Yeah. And I put it up, and like you said, I pretend like it didn't even, when I was waitressing, I would put money in there every month and pretend like it don't even, I really couldn't even tell you how much I got in it because I just left it alone and don't know. Yeah. But with real estate, it carried me so much. Like, I say being a homeowner at 22 is the single-handedly best decision I ever made. Yeah. Because when I bought that house, I think that was the first Obama administration, like when the housing market was down, I got a good little 3-bedroom house on the west side for like $60,000. Yep. And that kept that house, renovated it, put I only had to put like $40,000 in this house. Yep. And by the time I think I sold it, that was 2000. Don't get me lying about the numbers. But yeah, 2008. So 2012, and I sold it 2020. So 8 years.
You up.
Man, I sold that house for $260,000. So not only did I get the 60 that I put in it, also what people don't realize too, and I think that I didn't learn this until, thank God for Black bankers, because I just so happened to be in the bank one day, going to make my deposits after working at the club, and the Black guy, he was like, I don't know if you know, but your home, you can refinance, pull some equity out, and pay off whatever you want to pay off. I didn't have student loans, but I paid off a car. I saved I paid off credit cards and all of that, and refinanced, still paid it off, and got all like over $200,000 back in equity. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a key component, and then also that the fact that I still had that house during the pandemic, I was able to, thank God, have a tenant in it while I was living in my townhouse. So that tenant was paying that for that house bills and my house bills. So real estate is so.
You are a financial expert though. No,
I'm not.
Nah, you are. I'm telling you. Like think about it. Like right now, if you just told every 18 18 to 24-year-old to do what you just did,
Yeah.
they will be set for life. They will be financially free by the time they're in their 30s. They wouldn't be in these bad relationships, relying on no man.
For sure. Because I believe as a woman, you got to have your own. You could get up and go whenever you need to. If it ain't healthy, if it ain't right.
You playing, Brii.
Yeah.
Brii Renee's playing. we listen, y'all. Listen. If y'all didn't listen to nothing else on this interview, I need y'all to be in the comments. I need you to stalk her. I need you to let her know she gotta let that knowledge go. There's some young women that's waiting for her. They waiting for you, Brii.
And see, I think I'd be second guessing myself because I'm still learning. Like I'm still learning for like just.
But you're still learning to get to the next level. I'm not telling you to teach there. Right?
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna tell you this. The most amount of money I've made 8 figures as an entrepreneur. I've never made $100 million. I've never made 9 figures, right?
Okay. I ain't made $1 million yet.
Right? But watch this. I haven't made a multiple 8 figures, right? So here's the deal. I never will teach people how to make multiple 8 figures. I will never teach people how to make $100 million, right? Because my goal is to get there. So I hire my mentors, right? So my mentors have. So the people that I mastermind with have made multiple 8 figures. They've made $100 million. They had $100 million. Not a lot of them, but some of them have $100 million businesses. So those are the people I listen to.
Right.
I know how to make $1 million. I know how to make 6 figures. So everything I teach is based on what I know. And so the problem is we're so stuck on where we're trying to go that we discount where we've been and how we can help the others. And so I'm not telling you to teach nothing that you don't know. Yeah. I'm not telling you to teach young women how to be millionaires. Because not everybody's going to be a millionaire, to be honest with you.
But you can have a home.
Yeah. You can have freedom. You can get free of that domestic violence. Like these women, like these girls out here are in these relationships like that they really don't need to be in.
Yeah.
Right? Man punching you in your face and you losing a tooth. You getting a black eye. Why are you in that relationship?
Yeah. Or even if it ain't as extreme as domestic violence, you just not happy.
You're not happy,
You know this person not for you. They can't even commit to you, but you with him because he can buy you this or pay your bills. Or,
and then you have a young lady who they can relate to, who they listen to, who knows how to get them out of that trap, but she not giving them the information because she focused on where she trying to go. What's going on?
Like I'm getting jumped.
Marvin Gaye, what's going on? What's going on?
So I have to stop second guessing myself.
Yes, because there's power in the tongue and there's power in the thought too.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Mm-hmm. And it was something else you said I wanted to touch on. Because I always thought the opposite, that you said it doesn't matter if you don't know about what you're investing in.
Yeah.
See, I always thought, I know real estate because I watched my mom build houses and I seen her build wealth through real estate. So I knew real estate.
Yeah.
So I would be like, I would think that, let me not go invest in or put too much money in the stocks because I don't know nothing about that. Yeah. I did a little bit because I felt like I got to find some type of way to diversify my portfolio, but I wasn't dumping as much in there because I was like, I don't really know what this is going to do.
Yeah. And that's something that I would have said to learn more about, because simultaneously, if as you were buying a house, if you were equally putting money in the stock market, you would probably be a multimillionaire right now.
Yeah.
If you're talking about 22, right? Like the
I for sure would. As much money as I was making.
Correct.
And I'm talking about, I was like, And I thought I could save my way to the security.
Right.
And I think that one thing that I am grateful for is the muscle of saving. Yeah. Right? So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if this is a bad idea. But I have always felt like, and this is even when I was waitressing, because you got to understand, I spent my whole 20s in the strip club. So I'm making, this is back when they was really getting the bag. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, if I'm making, let's say a slow month, I'm making $10,000 a month, right? Cash no taxes, you know. But because I wanted to buy assets, would go out and pay my tax. I would file taxes. My rule of thumb became in my early 20s, every dollar I make, I'm saving 30% of it. And I carried that as an entrepreneur because we know you still got to pay your own taxes. You got to do other things. So do you feel like, it's a 2-part question. Do you feel like that is a good number, rule of thumb? Yeah. And then 2, how does somebody who might not be making $10,000 a month save? To even have something to invest.
A couple of things. So yes, I like that you talked about the saving muscle because you need to save to invest. Yeah. Right?
You got to have something to put in.
You have to have something. So I saving just can't be the end, right? Savings is the beginning. I'm going to save my money up until I can invest either in, I would say everybody should be investing in stock market and real estate, right? First, and then if it's like a business idea or something like that, they can invest in businesses. I like so you said something perfect where I like the percentage game because what happens is whether you make a little bit of money or a lot of money, the percentage stays the same. Right. And so somebody who doesn't make $10,000 a month, maybe they make $1,000 a month, still save 30%. Okay. Right? Because
you can still use that number.
You can still use that number because what happens is, right?
I'm pulling this out. I might be smarter than what I thought.
Not might be. I think you really just be playing around. You know what I'm saying? Like you just be playing around because that 30%, right? You make $1,000 and the person who makes $1,000, they learn how to live off of 70% of their income. So now that 30%, which is $300, now they put that into something that could grow. Now when they start making $5,000, right? That 30%, equals, $1,500. That $1,500, right? Now when they make $10,000, now that's $3,000. So keep the percentages because that way you'll never change your lifestyle. You'll never get to a point where you're not, you don't have the habit of savings. You don't have the habit of investing. And so that's what we should be focusing on. And so I love using percentages instead of dollar amounts, right? Because
so you could do that no matter how
much you make, right? So you make $1, take that 30 cents out. You know what I'm saying? And then as you start to grow, just keep that percentage going.
So that's what you would tell somebody who might feel like they still living paycheck to paycheck right now.
1,000%, because I tell people.
And would it still be the 30%? You feel like 30% is the number?
I like 30%. Yeah, okay. 30% is a good number. So
why did I come up with? You
probably heard of it somewhere or subconsciously. I'm like, where did that come from?
Or is that what taxes is?
Yeah. So the average person pays 30%. In taxes.
Okay, maybe
it's like 27% or whatever. So yeah, so rounding it up to 30% is usually why.
That's probably where I got it.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I tell most people if you're living paycheck to paycheck, I say treat yourself like FICA, right? I don't know who she is, but when I worked, she took her money off the top.
She always got it off the top.
She got it off the top.
Her and Medicare.
Right. Off the top. And guess what? We budgeted our money based on what was left over. Yeah. And so what's the difference? If you live in paycheck to paycheck right now, save off the top. Yeah. Right? Pay yourself first and then budget based on what you got left over, right? Yeah. Because when you do it that way, that is the only way for you to get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Because if somebody who is living paycheck to paycheck right now and they're telling themselves, well, I'm living the paycheck to paycheck, I don't have enough to start saving, what's going to happen is they're going to have to borrow. Yeah. And now that paycheck to paycheck gets worse because now they're in the cycle of paying back debt with interest. Yeah. So you might as well cut back right now. You might as well take the suffering right now because eventually that money that you're saving you can invest it and then it could give you some relief.
Yeah, I like that. That 30%. That, and like you said, you teaching yourself to save and strengthen that muscle no matter how much. And one thing I also do, look at me getting my teacher bag. One thing I also do is I have my bank accounts, linked, so my checking and then also my savings. So I don't even touch, like you said, mine coming off top.
Off top, yeah.
So that as soon as whatever, I don't care if it's a YouTube check or a speaking engagement or the radio, like soon as those checks hit, no matter what I go to my calculator, do the math, and I put that exact dollar amount and I transfer it over to that savings account. And once it hit that savings account, I have always acted as if it didn't exist anymore.
So let me tell you what you're doing that you probably realize or maybe not realize. That's why you become a master manifester of money, right? Because subconsciously you know you have money, and having money is what attracts money. You will always get who you are, right? And so I am abundant with money, so I'll never be the B word, right? Because even when I look at an account and it's low, I know I have money somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I'll never feel the B word.
Yeah.
And so I am inadvertently becoming a money magnet. So even when I tell people, like people say, yo, what should I do? Yo, I got this money coming in from my taxes or whatever. What should I do? I say, leave it in the account.
Yeah.
Don't,
so you know you got it.
No, you got it. That money come in, act like you don't need it.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck is okay with looking at an account with money in it.
Yeah.
Psychologically, what that does for you is that it allows you to be a money magnet because it's telling yourself, I am abundant. I have so much money that I don't even need it.
Yeah.
And so now money is attracted to that. Money is attracted to people who don't need it, right? Money doesn't like desperate energy.
That's why they say the rich get richer.
1,000%.
Because you already rich.
Because you already rich. You already got the bag. And so guess what? Like think about this.
Right.
Like
that's the same mindset I had at 14, 15 when I was like, oh, I'm always gonna have money.
Right.
Once I touch that first 1,000 at 15, oh, I'm always gonna have money.
Right. Right. And then and so money is attracted to that.
Yeah.
And so money's gonna keep coming to you. So think about if I'm an investor, and if I'm Warren Buffett and everybody knows that every time I invest my money goes up, you don't think that there's people lined up to give me their money to invest?
Yeah.
But if I know somebody who's like, oh man, I don't know if I invest in this,
I ain't got it.
Nobody's gonna give them money. Why you gonna give them money for?
Because you ain't never got it.
Exactly.
You right.
Yeah.
Now let's talk like basics. Somebody out there right now who might be listening that might have small debts, multiple debts, might feel like they're drowning, no emergency fund, or just feeling overwhelmed right now, the state of the climate. The government was shut down for a while. People wouldn't get paid to work. It's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
What are give me 3 steps. Yeah. The first 3 steps that they can do to start to get themselves out of that space.
Yeah, I would number one say know your numbers, right? And so a lot of times when people talk about numbers, they always talk about how to manage what they currently have. I like to say, what is your ideal number? Like, how do you want to live? Right? How much does that lifestyle cost?
Yeah.
Right? And I would start there. I would start with that. I would start with saying, what is your best life? What does it look like? And how much does it cost you to live that best life per year, per month, per week? So at least you have a baseline of how much money you need to make, opposed to focusing on what your lifestyle is right now, how much you make right now, and being comfortable there.
Because you ain't comfortable.
Because you're not. And try to manage what you currently have. So now know that number, number one. Number two, figure out how you can fill the gap between where you are and that number. So let's just say, for instance, if your ideal lifestyle costs $5,000 a month and you're currently making $2,000 a month, then figure out what is that $3,000. How can I fill in that gap? Right? If I'm working a 9 to 5, then I have to, right? I have to create this side hustle. I have to do YouTube. I have to do something and figure out like how you're going to get to that $5,000 number so you can get some cushion, right?
Okay, that's good.
And while you're there, that's number 2. And then number 3, create a plan to manage what you do currently have, right? And so, I wouldn't just say, all right, now this gap, and now I'm working towards filling the gap. But while I'm still working towards filling that gap, I still have this lifestyle that I'm currently living. And so let me figure out how to manage that. that may look scary for some people, right? Because some people out of sight, out of mind, and they might just be okay with going into debt. That may be cutting back. That you might can't drive that Escalade anymore or that Benz anymore. Like you might have to give up the car. You might have to downsize. You might have to get a roommate.
Cook every meal.
You might have to cook every meal, right? Yeah. Like, but be realistic to not. So I don't like using the word realistic because you can create anything in your mind.
Anything can be realistic.
But look at where you currently are. And don't give permanent energy to temporary things, right? So if you temporarily need to go back in order to go forward, then that's okay, because at the end of the day, the goal is to get to a space where you'll never have to make sacrifices again. Because the truth of the matter, if you invest your money right, in the right way, then you'll have other issues. You're gonna have issues on, where I'm gonna allocate this money because I don't want to pay the IRS the 30%.
Exactly. Who can I give back to? What philanthropy can I do?
Exactly.
No, I like that. That's good, because I feel like even if you're not in a space of needing an emergency fund or
So I don't call it an emergency fund.
What do you call it?
A financial freedom fund, right?
Period.
Because if you think about it, if you're saving for emergencies, guess what you're doing? You're calling an emergency to you. And so I don't call it an emergency fund. I call it a financial freedom fund.
Because we call it financial freedom to
exactly, 1,000%. And so what I would say is that financial freedom fund should be 6 to 8 months of expenses.
Okay.
And so whatever your expenses are, again, if your expenses are $2,000, then you need between $12,000 and $18,000 or $16,000, between $12,000 and $16,000 in that fund, because that's 6 to 8 months of expenses.
Yeah.
Right. And so that should be the goal, right? So now in your mind, you're saying, all right, I need liquid access money in a savings account that's 12 to 18,000. Once it goes over the 18,000, now it's time to say, all right, let me invest the excess. And then that's how you start building from there.
I like how a lot of the things you're talking about, it can be done at every level.
Yes.
One, and you can do it right now because
1,000%.
It's literally a mindset shift.
1,000%.
Like you literally are reframing things that we kind of like. I always thought it was an emergency fund, but you're reframing it like that's a simple, easy, quick mindset shift that you can do right now and saying it's a financial freedom fund.
And the other piece of it though too, and I'm glad that you mentioned that it could be done at every level, because wealth is relative, right, to you.
Yeah.
There's somebody right now that if they, that wish that they could make $1 million. But there's somebody right now who, if they had $1 million only, they will kill themselves. It's relative. And so what I'm saying is, at 22 years old, being a homeowner with a tenant, you are wealthy. And not even realize it, because again, you change your relationship with money. You stop working for money. Money was working for you, right?
Wow.
But what happens is, because we let the outside world tell us what wealth is,
or what it looked like,
you feel like, oh, I didn't make $1 million yet, so I'm not wealthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I always said I wanted to make $2 at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I felt like if I made $1, that's too close to having none.
Yeah. And again, the truth of the matter is this, right?
Yeah. But that's just what I want, though.
Yeah.
And I know me as the type of person, and you can tell me if this is healthy or not, because I battle on the fence of this.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like even when I get that too, I'm still gonna want some more.
I know you're gonna want some more.
Is that bad though? Because you never not satisfied?
So I don't think God put us in this earth to be satisfied. I think that God put us here to maximize our full potential.
Okay.
And so I personally don't have a number. I have milestones, right? And so, I had a milestone, right? I had a milestone and said I wanted to make, $10 million. And when I was able to make $10 million, I said my next milestone is $100 million. Doesn't mean that when I get to 100 million that I'm going to stop and I don't know. Yeah. Because as long as I have breath in my body, so I have this acronym, right? So regardless of what your religion is, Christianity, Muslim, Jewish, whatever, all of the scriptures say we're made in the image and likeness of God. So if God is infinite possibilities, then I am infinite possibilities as well, right?
Correct.
And so I believe that the only way to prove God is to display God through you. And so I have this acronym that I use, GOD, greatness on display. And so in order for me to show others that God exists, God is going to take this little boy who didn't have his father, who grew up in the projects, who had low income, and he's going to make him the first multimillionaire in his family. And then he's going to have the same guy be able to teach other people how to make millions of dollars, but he's going to keep going as high as he can go, right? How much money do you want to make? As much money as you can, right? How healthy do you want to be? As healthy as you can be.
And as life goes on, it'll change.
Exactly.
Because I used to be like, my FU number is like, as a woman, if I have $10 million, I'm cool. I ain't got to make no more money. But now that I ain't even made the 2 yet. And I'm like, nah, 10 ain't going to be enough.
And the truth, and here's the other piece of it though too, which is about reframing the why.
The reframe.
Right? The reframe is the more money you make, the more you can help people.
Yeah.
So that's how I reframe it. So I don't look at it as, because the truth of the matter is I've made enough money to manage my lifestyle.
Regardless.
And I'm good.
Because after somebody, and you can tell me, do you feel this way? I ain't got to this point yet. But I saw a TikTok and this white guy was saying that once you make over $30,000 a month, it all feels the same.
It all feels the same. 1,000%. So for me, I feel like,
oh, come on, Jesus.
I feel like there's no experience that I cannot have. Right. There's no car I can't drive. There's no place I can't live. There's no vacation I can't go to.
Right.
So the truth of the matter is that, I mean, if I'm keeping it a whole 100, all I need is $480,000 to live my best life per year. And so making $1 million is extra, right? Making 2 million, 3 million, like it just becomes extra. And so what happens is, for me, I'm at a space where I love my life. I live a great life. My goal, though, is to help others live their best life as well. And so the more money I make, the more infrastructures I could build, the more businesses I could build, the more people I can help. And so my goals stop being just about me. It's about how many people I can help. And inadvertently, I know the more people I help, the more money I'll make anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and I say so I think from a reframe perspective is like let's focus more on, hey, I have a $1 billion vision, because that $1 billion will help so many other people. And inadvertently, as you start to understand that, now you'll attract that because you actually need it for the reasons why you're saying you need it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I don't know if you already have coined yourself this, but you are the king of the reframe.
Oh, I receive that.
You helping me reframe, and I feel like you helping a lot of us reframe the way we are, the approach to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And speaking of reframe, how do you feel like we can reframe our mindset between the make more versus the keep more in our community? Because, you know, we tend to, as we make more, our lifestyle creep up, and we don't keep as much because we feel like we gotta look like we making more. Yeah.
So we have to understand that as we make, we should be only focusing on assets, because the truth of the matter is that you don't lose money with assets. When you invested $60,000 into your first property, you never lost that $60,000.
I never lost that money.
Right? And so you didn't transfer that $60,000 from you to someone else. You gave it to the bank in the form of a property, which means that worst case scenario, you'll at least get your 60 back. Worst case scenario, you at least get your 60 back. And so you never gave up possession of that 60,000. So now that 60,000, when you had a townhouse and you rented it out, now you still got that 60,000, and now it's making money for you. And so the keeping of the money is that, which is why the reframe has to be that every money that I'm going to change my relationship, any money that comes in that I work for, now that money needs to work for me. Yeah. And I have to put it into something. I'm not gambling. I'm not going to risk it. I'm putting it into something that holds its value that now I have. So now, think about every single athlete that we know of that makes millions of dollars and immediately they're paying all their staff and things of that nature. Imagine if they just took that $1 million and invested it, let's just say in real estate.
Yeah.
Right? They will never lose
properties.
Right. They will never lose that $1 million. That $1 million will stay in that property, right? Maybe depending on the market, it may not necessarily grow, but they'll always have that $1 million. So if something happens, they can always liquidate that.
And cash flow. Like you said, you rent it out, Airbnb in it or whatever, however you want to make money off of it. How do you feel like we can teach the youth now with just about money in general in this world where it's almost like we don't even touch money no more. Yeah. It's like all digital currency, influencer income, like I have literally made a living off of the internet. Yeah. And I feel like the younger generation are making even more money off the internet. Yeah. And side hustles dominate. Like what do you think is the financial literacy curriculum for the future? Yeah. I think we have to show them. I think that there has to be it has to translate via lifestyle, right? It has to be being able to show Kai Cenat's $3 million home, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to show when he's traveling and going different places and things of that nature. I think financial literacy is going to be about authentic content. Is going to be, but also lifestyle content. Like people are going to have to see what a certain money looks like from a lifestyle perspective. And why I say lifestyle also is because we have to show the things that we can't necessarily buy with debt, right? That's why when I see an influencer show me cars, I'm not impressed by it because number one, I know that cars depreciate. So the moment that that Lamborghini that you bought for $300,000, $200,000 is about in 6 months it's worth $120. Right. And so I'm not impressed that you were able to get it new and now it's depreciated. Show me your house. Show me your businesses. Show me, your vacations. Like, show me the things that you can get through assets and have like conversations. Your health, and that's why I even a couple years ago I stopped. Dang, I do be kind of knowing a little bit.
Nah, you know a lot.
I know a lot.
You know a lot.
Because a couple years ago I was like, I don't want to keep showing bags and shoes, and every time I get this or that, I buy that because ultimately that's not who I am anyway. Mm-hmm. I like nice things because I'm a woman and we like nice things, but I lean more into look at how healthy I'm eating. Yes. Look at what I can afford my hobbies to be.
Absolutely.
Like you said, these are the things that are lifestyle that elevates as your income elevates. Because now I can afford, like next year I want to take up horseback riding. Mm-hmm. That's a hobby that most people aren't. You get what I'm saying? 100%. So like you said, showing through that lifestyle. I like that. Yeah. The vacations, those are the type of things that, like you said, debt necessarily can't buy.
Absolutely.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, before you get out of here, let's do rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You just answer them quick. What's one financial habit that you changed this year that moved the needle for you?
One financial habit that I've changed this year that moved the needle for me was investing more. And so I put more money in the markets than I did in any other year because I've now learned through options and leaps and things of that nature. And that's a little more sophisticated than just investing. Mm-hmm. But I learned how to make money whether the market is up or down.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you can actually make money on a down market as well through options and things of that nature. So yeah, that's one thing.
Okay, dope. If you could erase one money myth that you used to believe, what would it be?
If I could remove one money myth, it would be that I have to work hard for money.
We all got to remove that.
Remove that. Money comes easily and frequently.
Oh, I know that's right. A favorite book or podcast on money everyone should read.
My favorite book on money is going to be Think and Grow Rich. By Napoleon Hill. I wrote a version of it called Mind Right, Money Right. It's like the hip hop version of Think and Grow Rich, but I would say, Think and Grow Rich. Podcast, obviously, Inside the Vault with Ash Cash.
Okay.
The greatest money mindset show on the planet. If you know, you know.
Yeah, tell me one more of your books that is your favorite besides Mind Right Money.
So I started a series called Hip Hoponomics, where I take hip hop and I mix it with economics. And so my favorite is The Wake Up Call. It's based on Jay-Z's 444 album. When he came out with the 444,
a true New Yorker is
right?
gonna always
but watch this.
Jay.
Yo, when he came out with the 444 album, a lot of people thought that he was only talking about cheating on Beyonce, which is only 20% of the album. 80% of the album, he's giving you $1 million worth of game, right?
Okay.
For $9.99, like he said in the record. So he teaches you about credit, generational wealth. So I wrote a book called The Wake Up Call: Financial Lessons Learned from 444. I have another book called Hustlenomics, based on, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, and teaching you about business. I have a book called The Illmatic Investor, based on Nas, because he became a billionaire. He doesn't talk about it much, but he became a billionaire through investing. And so I have a book called Illmatic Investor. So I would say The Wake Up Call is another book that I think everybody should pick up.
We all gotta get into the, like, when I tell you I'm about to go on Amazon and order, where can we get these books?
Yeah,
Amazon?
You go to Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, Target, or ashcashbooks.com.
Okay, period. I might just buy straight from you so you get all of it off
That's right.
top. You know what I mean? Last question. One rule you never break when it comes to your finances.
Ooh, so one rule I never break when it comes to my finances. And I mean, this might sound, but it's a mindset rule that I don't break, is regardless of how bad things may look, I always know that as long as I have breath in my body, that I'm abundant, right? So my hat says abundance is your birthright, which means that I believe so deeply that I don't have to work for my abundance, that it's already given to me, that I don't care about the economy. I don't care how many jobs are being lost. I don't care what's happening in businesses. I was promised that abundance is my birthright. And so no matter what it looks like on the outside, I'll never worry about money. And that's a rule, because I know once I start to worry about money, that's when, everything starts to fall apart.
And we can't forget that. Yeah. I will say, life sometimes can make you forget, and sure, circumstances can knock you down. Yeah. But and I'm speaking for myself, because I told you at 14, 15, I knew in my heart of heart that I would never be without or wouldn't be able to get some money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or make money. But the last couple of years, just circumstances knocked me down. Sure. Like my mom going away, and just all these type of things like you don't expect, or just pivoting in your career. Sure. And so it makes you doubt yourself a little bit. But I feel like you said, like, I know that to be true.
For sure.
And I can't let the circumstances make me forget that, because when I do now, I'm not operating in my highest frequency of my abundance.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah. When I tell you this, I'm so grateful for this today. Like, it has filled me up with so much just confidence.
Yes.
and reassurance and reframing.
Yes.
You are the king of the reframe. I'm stamping that.
Yes.
Brii Renee straight from the A said it. You can run with that as much as you need to.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful for you sitting down with me today. Let them know where they can watch your podcast. Yep. Like, again, give them the website so we can all go out and get these books, because I'm about to even, go support and grab that knowledge.
Y'all could go to my website, IamAshCash.com. All of my podcasts, books, everything is there. I have Inside the Vault with Ash Cash. I got a show with my brother Jay White called Crime Pays. So IamAshCash.com. Follow me on all social media platforms at IamAshCash.
Perfect. And then at the end of every episode, I almost forgot to ask you, this is something I ask everybody at the end of every episode too, but what's something that you want to be better at in life right now?
I want to be a better leader, where I don't allow my sporadic behaviors to mess other people's life up, right? And so what I mean by that is, like, I just recently found that I had ADHD, right?
Do we all?
I think all entrepreneurs do. I don't think all people have ADHD. I think if you're an entrepreneur, 9 times out of 10, the reason why you're an entrepreneur is because you have ADHD.
Yeah, my therapist told me, she was like, I think you had it. And I was like, girl, you don't know me. I've been an excellent high achiever my whole life.
No, so let me
I was offended.
No, let me tell you something. So
now I'm starting to feel
when we was talking and I mentioned about the structure, and you was like, oh, I was like, yep, she got ADHD. No. And so the thing is,
don't you diagnose me?
No, I'm telling you because I saw it though, right? And so I'm gonna tell you a couple of things that you were doing that told me you had ADHD. Think about when I was talking to you outside. I was like, yeah, we always do that. Mm-hmm. We always have these skills and we always downplay it. That's an ADHD trait, actually.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we never give ourselves credit for who we really are. Right.
Okay.
And so because I know that, right, and so here's the other misconception about that, though, is that people think ADHD means we can't focus. No, it just means we're super extreme, which means that we either do nothing or we do all of it. We don't have a middle, right? And so if you don't concentrate your ADHD in the right percent, meaning that that's why I'm always busy. That's why I'm always busy. I got multiple businesses. I'm always hopping from here to here because I know
AF.
Right. Because if I slow down, I'm gonna do nothing. I'm gonna be in a couch watching Blacklist,
man,
back to back. You know what I'm saying?
And I require so because I'm so extreme.
Yes.
My rule of thumb is I schedule myself at least one day a week where I can do nothing because I will burn myself out. If you know how, if we work for 3-4 months straight every single day, extreme, then I'm going to have a whole month or 2 months where I'm doing nothing, like you said. So I have learned to schedule my
ADHD.
I didn't know what to say.
ADHD. Yeah. So to that point,
not me scheduling my extremes.
but get this though. So that's the one thing I want to do better. Because I know, I was the same way. So I got rid of a multi-million-dollar business because I was overwhelmed, right? So I was making so much money and I was working so much to the point where I told my partners, I'm like, I'm not doing this no more.
Yeah.
And I shut it down. In hindsight, it wasn't a good thing because I had so many people relying. We had a staff of 30-something people. We had so many people relying on us, and I tore it all down because I was overwhelmed.
Yeah,
I was anxious. It was too much for me, and so I want to learn how to be better at being a better leader, which is probably you just gave me a gem, which is scheduling. That time so that way I don't burn myself out. Mm-hmm. So that way I could be the best for my team. Because the truth is, I'm good. But there are other people who are relying on me to show up every day.
Yeah.
And I want to be better for those people. So that's the one thing I would want to change.
That's good.
Yeah.
I feel so seen, bro. I feel so seen. So at the end of every episode, I do a transformation.
Yeah.
And this is basically an affirmation. Mm-hmm. My reframe. It's an affirmation, but I just make it a little bit more trill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I structure it based off of the guests. And you inspire me of this little bar. And since you like rap, hopefully it got a little flow to it for you.
Let's go.
But today's transformation is my vibe is rich. My spirit is free. I don't chase a thing because money chases me.
Let's go.
You feel me?
That's the one right there. That's the one.
I don't chase nothing.
That's
money
the one.
chasing me.
That's the one.
So yes, that's this week's transformation. Ash, thank you so much. I really like. Do you have a coaching program? I might need.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to sign it.
Yeah,
because I feel like you speak my language. I understand. You get where I'm coming from. We're gonna have a different conversation.
1,000%.
Yes, but that's this week's episode of Better with Brii Renee. I hope that you felt as much fulfillment and education and gems from this episode as I have, because this one was on fire. Thank you so much. See y'all next week.